We are now live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another interview for What the Gnomes Know, a comics anthology. Today, we're coming in just audio for privacy reasons, but that's totally okay. Today, I am talking with CM Clemence and Kelly Swann. Say hello, CM and Kelly.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sitting and chatting with me today.
Thanks for having us. We're real excited about this anthology and being a part of it.
Heck yeah. So how did you hear about the anthology project, by the way?
Well, so being a CCS alum, of course I know a lot of the people, Rainer and Ben and Angela, and others.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and being a part of an anthology again, it was really exciting because that's something you miss from not being in school with a bunch of comic creators.
Yeah, I get that. Having gone to art school also. I mean, like, yes. I went to Bowling Green State University, but yeah, I get the missing the vibe of being with other art students.
Yeah, it's not the same as civilians, right?
No, not really. I mean, if you go to like a comic convention or something, you can maybe talk with people about like fandoms and stuff, but it's not the same thing as talking with people about the technical parts, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So on your short story, because you both worked on the same one, which feel free to correct me on the title on this. It's a garden variety adventure.
It is, hold on, just your garden variety adventure.
Yes,
I was close. Okay.
Yeah, we went through several revisions of titles.
That's totally okay. And
right.
To clarify, also, I served as editor on this anthology, so there was probably a bit of back and forth. I don't remember us talking about the title super duper much. We were more looking at page layouts and things like that. That was my feedback for y'all.
Yes, which was awesome.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm glad that we could get the story like looking as awesome as it did.
Yes. A good editor is amazing.
Now you're just flattering.
Well, but it's true.
That's true. Yeah. Have you worked with other editors before, or was this your first anthology working with an editor?
I've edited or co-edited the anthologies I've worked in before. At least a couple. So it was nice having someone else look it over too, besides just myself and a friend who we're looking through all of them. So it's nice having someone else. How about you?
I haven't worked with an editor on anything fictional before. Of course, with my master's thesis, I had, with the thesis defense and stuff, all the professors looked over it, and I had to make edits to that. So I'm a little bit familiar with, making changes to stuff that you've worked on, but haven't. I mean, this is the first fictional thing that I've, that's made it to publishing.
Gotcha. So, if you don't mind my asking, what is your master's degree in? Do you have your degree, or are you still working on your thesis?
No. This was 2009. So, my master's is in history.
Gotcha. So, okay, because you are the history dude. Whose idea was it to do the gnome story that you worked on the way that you did? Because the interesting thing about it is that it's part almost D&D adventure, but there's also the traditional depiction of gnomes with like the pointy hats and the beards and things like that. Was that, did you do any research going into it about gnomes, or were you going with other visual imagery in mind?
Well, as you suspected, it's heavily inspired by Dungeons and Dragons and other types of fantasy type material. I'm a big fan of, and Kelly is now a big fan of the Elder Scrolls series as well.
Oh, nice.
So there's that kind of inspiration there. But I think that coming up with the starting reel, going into an adventure, and ending like where it was, oh, by the way, the whole time they've just been real garden gnomes. was kind of a collaboration on our part.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for this. And then we had that breakthrough. That okay, it's gonna start off, and you're not gonna realize that they're real garden gnomes until you get to the very end, and it's like, oh, they're actually garden gnomes, and the bird is a bird, and so on. And that was once we like made that breakthrough, the story just kind of went, like it just kind of flowed.
Like everything started falling into place after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can kind of tell with some of the foreshadowing as the story progresses. Like that was one of my favorite things about your particular short story, was that as you're reading it, you're like, oh, so this makes sense and this makes sense and this makes sense. And then once you get to the end, it's like, aha, I have a new appreciation for it upon rereading it.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. That's what we were hoping for.
I gotta ask, and this is purely my own self-indulgent question. Have either of you seen the original Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure? Because there was almost similar vibes regarding, oh, these are like gnome statues and they're just moving in their own magical adventure, and then at the end it's revealed that they're props.
You know what? No, but I might have, like, because this is something that's been around. I'm assuming that's been around for a very long time, right? Like,
oh yes, at least since the 80s, if not a little older.
Yeah.
it's very possible at some point in time. I mean, you have the stories like Winnie the Pooh, right? Winnie the Pooh, they're stuffed animals.
Yeah.
But then they have magical adventures. Stuff like the Velveteen Rabbit, which traumatized me as a child when all the toys
Who
got
hasn't
burned.
been traumatized by the Velveteen Rabbit?
Yeah. Yes, but stuff like that. I mean, even although I would argue that, like, I was kind of past my Disney days as a young person when Toy Story came out. But even like Toy Story has that kind of vibes, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I wouldn't say that any of those directly inspired this, but like, you know, we're a result of all of our influences of everything that we've seen. So
we're definitely 80s kids.
So, yeah.
Sure.
So arguably, you know, it indirectly might have influenced the
device.
Like
the device here, I guess.
Yeah.
like you borrowed the framing device.
We're looking that up now because at the musical we got.
Oh,
yeah,
Raggedy Ann
because
and
I gotta
Andy,
see
a
if I've
musical
seen it.
adventure.
Yeah.
It was one of the first films directed by the same dude who directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And it's trippy as heck. And there's also a lot of unnecessary musical numbers in that movie.
Yes.
Oh, Angela is saying in the comments, by the way, shout out to everybody in the comments. We have Jessica, Angela, Ben, and Rainer tuning in with us. Hello, everybody. Angela mentioned that Raggedy Ann and Andy came out in 1977.
Makes sense.
Wow. I forgot that it was that old. But yeah, the framing device for that was it starts in a little girl's room with the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls and a bunch of other dolls. And then like the entire rest of the movie is an animated musical adventure. And then at the very end, all of the dolls and toys and stuff who went on this adventure are out in the backyard, like strewn about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was where the connection came for me, at least with the framing device for your particular story.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Hi.
Hi.
We have a junior
Yeah.
artist, huh, bud?
Yeah, a little budding cartoonist in the studio right now.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of my podcast buddies actually just his son was just born yesterday.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a ride.
Yeah. That's what I gather. He looked very tired.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
amazing, but it's exhausting, right, bud?
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually a good question. How did you balance working on this short story project with a family? Like, what did that look like? What did the work process look like, balancing those responsibilities?
I'm gonna leave that answer to Kelly.
Okay.
Because my writing I mostly did when I had breaks at work. I would
Fair
take
enough.
5-10 minutes here and there to do the writing. But
Mhm.
obviously the artwork has to be done like at home. So I'm going to leave it Kelly to answer that one.
Okay.
Well, let's just say he's on my lap right now. So that was how some of the drawings. And he likes to try to help.
Mhm.
Like he's trying to help talking to the mic right now.
Like you do.
Yeah, like you do. Like you do. But mostly when he sleeps. That's the best. And for me, art comes easier at night.
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty common thing. So that would work. He could be asleep, and I could just put on something. Now I'll have to put on the Raggedy Ann musical, and just put something on and work.
It's not all
Yeah. Something to keep him distracted.
Yeah, well, something to keep me distracted as I work, which is funny, but it helps to have something on in the background while I work.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Right? It's fun.
Did you have anything playing in the background while working on this particular short story?
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember which of the several things. Do you remember? I don't know.
Mm-mm.
See, I usually do a military comic or a comic about military history.
Mhm.
And that one I have everything from military movies to feel good Disney sports movies.
I mean, it makes sense though, because sports stories involve working together as a team, which is almost like how militaries function.
That is very that's very wise. That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Oh yeah, Night Court. I would probably put that on. Angela and I used to work to Night Court, and it's the best.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I had a question and then it escaped me.
You know how that is.
Oh yeah. Well, whenever I work in studio, it ranges from the day to day. I definitely have a playlist for whenever it's super hardcore crunch mode and I'm right up against the deadline, which is different from everything else. Oh, Ben has a question for you. We're going to incorporate Q&A throughout this interview because we're trying to keep it short. But what drummers were used as models for your gnomes? And that is a question from Ben.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm trying to remember who I used as. Honestly, I think I was just looking at a bunch of pictures of gnomes and just like David the Gnome, again being an 80s kid. But I don't think I used drummers this time, and that's really. I guess the next anthology will have to. I know. We were using Dave Grohl as the other anthology, but that didn't quite. That's when we had the kid, so that was a little bit. But yeah, I'll have to use a toddler. What?
She didn't use drummers, but we used for the dragon was modeled after our dearly beloved and now no longer with us Chocolate Labs.
Yes,
so.
a year ago, in a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died. But yeah, she was our best inspiration.
Yeah.
Was the Chocolate Lab pre, during, or after the baby?
Way before. She was 14 years old. So she died.
Oh goodness.
Last November. Yeah. So our little one was approaching a year old.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. As a parent to a 16-year-old cat who's thinking about that sort of thing, that hurts, and I sympathize.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you were at least there for the final days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And she was around long enough to get some baby food, so
There you go. Spoiler rotten. It's at the end of time.
Yep. You gotta.
Yeah. Oh, Rainer made the suggestion. I often work with Nightcore in the background. Now I want Nightcore Night Court.
We'll talk about next anthology ideas.
Ooh, yeah, because we are already planning a next anthology. A little shameless plug for a second. We are talking about these comics for What the Gnomes Know, a comics anthology, which is on Kickstarter right now. You can back it at tinyurl.com/ youtube.com/gnome comics. Link is on the screen. There's also a link in the YouTube description. Ben wanted to ask, for Less Than Secret, weren't you going to use Dave Grohl because your original cryptid was going to be a food fighter?
Yep, that's exactly it. And we're still going to do that one day.
Mm-hmm.
We might be 90 years old, but we're totally drawing that.
So I'm starting to notice a theme with Ben's questions.
He knows
so
me.
I take it drummers are an artistic influence on your work?
Yes. Yeah, I love drumming. I love old movies, history, but yeah, Levon Helm, Jim Kellner, people like that will show up in my comics. For my thesis, Kilroy was here. I think the whole Who was in there somewhere. So
your thesis at CCS,
yes.
Also known as the Center for Cartoon Studies.
Yes, thank you. I should have said.
Yeah,
I shouldn't just use.
Gotcha. Very cool. So when did you graduate from CCS, by the way?
Same year as Ben and Angela, and that was 2016. Hey, I remember.
Ooh. Well,
so a couple years
ago. nearly 10 years ago at this point. Time flies.
Getting there.
Mm-hmm. So this was your first time working with our crew for this particular comics anthology. So compared to other anthology projects that you've been a part of, what was it like working on this one?
Well, it was hey, bud. It was really good. I'm trying to think because that was before the kid. And I don't really remember life before the kid too well. I'm trying to think because we did a couple of the school, so Center for Cartoon Studies worked with the local VA hospital back in White River to tell veteran stories, and I helped edit the first one. That's J.D. Lunt, and then he did the second one, and so I remember working with him on those versus this one. Well, that was much more in person. This is not as in person, but it's still great because we have great communication through Discord and the meetups, which we didn't make any this time, but next time.
It's okay. I hardly made half of them. So the meetups are for the people who can make it to the meetups.
Yes. Well, and it's good because again, there's that community, and just knowing that everyone's on Discord is great and comforting. Message people and.
Absolutely. Super helpful to just message somebody and be like, hold on, what were the details for this thing again? Or asking to double check something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thinking of other questions. If anybody has any questions for Kelly or CM Clemence, feel free to ask them in the YouTube chat, by the way. Hi.
Hi.
How old are you, bud?
He is almost 2.
Oh, goodness.
Well, yeah.
Boy, girl, big boy, big girl.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Oh, big boy. Oh,
Big
boy.
Yeah.
He's 3 feet tall.
Oh, goodness.
He's not 2 yet.
Oh, goodness. Ooh, Ben has a question. CM, what's your history with writing and comics?
So, back when I was, back in 2009, when I was working on my master's thesis, I had a summer break in between it because it was a 3-semester thing. So I had a summer break, and rather than spending any time working on my thesis, I thought I would, rest my brain. And I started writing a fictional story about a fighter pilot, World War I era, but not a historical fiction. Because I figure with historical fiction, you have to do the research, you have to make things accurate, and I didn't want to have to do the research for something that was supposed to be a project I was doing for fun. So I started working on that, and so since then I've written several various things. I haven't really published anything. I'm sure you guys all understand how it is. Nothing's ever perfect enough to publish.
Well, and also just getting it ready for publishing is another leap and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So, as with regards to writing comics, this is the first like comic that I've written.
You've read a lot.
I've read a lot. Yeah. I mean, a lot of just a variety of different graphic novels and such. But sorry, I'm trying to load a frozen peach into a chew thing for my son.
No, you're fine.
But this is the first comic that I've written.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were you studying particular graphic novels in preparation to write this short story, or did you just go in blind?
I just went in blind. I really just went in blind and just did the best I could. When I write, I tend to think of things very cinematic when I'm writing.
Sure.
So I'm envisioning like the scene as it would play out on a screen. So that kind of helped me with like figuring out how it would play out in the comics.
Sure.
But I left the art and like the art design up to Kelly, like for how to take my writing and put it on the page. So
yeah. So Kelly, was this your first time working with a comics writer, or
No.
do you have some experience with that?
Yeah. Like with the veteran anthologies, J.D. Lunt wrote the first one, and then I illustrated it, and then the second one I co-wrote with someone else, with oh my goodness, Catherine, she's great.
Are you usually the artist on an artist writer duo?
Yes, usually. So so there's a naval history magazine, literally called Naval History, and you're right, they do work about naval history. And I do a 4-page comic for them. I've done this since I think 2017. And when we first, it's every other month, unless sometimes they have samples of, like, they have a graphic novel in print, which is really cool. And sometimes they do samples of that or other books. But I actually got that gig because the writer was looking for an artist and really liked my work.
Nice.
So I started working with him, but then he got busy with other projects. So now I get to write it. And I can't, complain about not getting the script in time, because that's my own bad. Which usually doesn't happen till like 7 days before I have to finish the art. But I think about the art and the words together usually. But I do work with writers sometimes, so it was fun working with Swann on that. But lately I've just been doing it myself, so it's nice to have someone else come up with ideas too.
I mean, I was about to ask what were the biggest obstacles in working on this short story together, but then my brain went, having a kid.
Yeah.
So were there other obstacles besides the baby boy that you had to navigate around when making this short story?
Not on your end, just on mine.
No, and I think that in part the story and the nature of the story and the different characters kind of was a little bit outside of Kelly's comfort zone with regards to like the types of characters and the design and stuff.
Yeah, because it's sounding like she works primarily on like military stories, and a lot of the artistic influences like rock drummers. So like drawing gnomes, definitely outside of the wheelhouse there.
But it was kind of freeing in a way. It was fun because I do research because I'm used to doing research, and it's like, oh, it's kind of fun to do something fantasy based and have fun with it and not have to be bogged down in detail like you were talking about with your thesis.
Sure, yeah. CM, good question for you. Because you mentioned reading graphic novels and things like that. So what kind of graphic novels, etc., do you read with regards to comics?
So it's been a while because with baby I haven't, had much time. But I've really liked I haven't in a very long time, but for a while I was into like Deadpool, Green Lantern, that kind of stuff.
Okay. There is some like at least some sci-fi fantasy background involved for the two of you going into this short story.
And more recently, they've turned it into graphic novels, but I'm a huge fan of the Adventure Zone podcast.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that, and there's that storytelling there.
Oh my gosh, right? It's so good.
And then it's not a graphic novel, but and I didn't take any inspiration for this from them, but like strangely enough, Iron Maiden, like their music, like I listen to it, it's like, oh hey, I can make a story out of like one of the characters in this song. So for some reason, Iron Maiden is very inspiring to me when writing like fantasy and stuff like that.
Yeah, the almost like a concept album kind of vibe.
Mhm.
I've noticed that that's definitely a thing with heavy metal,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
where the musicians will just be like, "Hey, we're gonna approach this album like we're telling a story," which is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Angela has a question. Kelly, what tools did you use to draw? She says, I know you were experimenting with ballpoint pen for a while. This is actually a good question because when I was looking at the pages you were sending over, I noticed a lot of pencil sketching vibes. Now, did you work traditionally or did you work digitally to make it look traditional?
Yeah, the the latter. I love working traditionally, but this time I'm slow at doing things. So I found that digital is the best way to work. And luckily I have a Cintiq tablet that I'm able to work with, and I found some good brushes for Photoshop. I work in Photoshop. So yeah, I found the pencil brushes, and I love, I don't know, I love the feel. With the naval history comic, I have to do color, which and the color in the stories everybody else says, I mean, I'm envious. Like I love color, but I don't know, there's things I can do, or there's things you can do. It's fun to experiment with black and white. For me, it's really fun. So I kind of use that as an excuse, and I like pencil because it's, I don't know, it feels a little bit unfinished, and that kind of lets imagination in. I think I don't know. I like the feel. I like the feel of that. So for this one, yeah, I just use some pencil type brushes and that kind of thing. So it's digital, but I definitely like the feel of pencil. Hey, bud, here it is.
Nice.
Here it is.
Ben commented, now I'm picturing you guys listening to Fear of the Dark and drawing adorable gnomes.
Yes.
Just to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. That's what we'll
Love
do.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Trying to think of other questions for you. So working on this anthology, working digitally, right? How far ahead did you have the script written, by the way?
Oh, months.
Gotcha.
He was quick. I'm slow. I'm a slow artist.
You had it done in January, right?
Yeah. He works pretty quickly, and I work pretty slowly.
I mean, it makes sense. He's the writer.
Right.
I
But even
noticed something similar when talking with Ben and Ian about their short story, because Ian had the short story script done, but it was up to Ben to get it all drawn out, and that process can take a while.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh, Ben wanted to ask, does your son draw yet, and how savage are your critiques?
Well, he does lines. He does lines. He did a really nice semicircle the other day in chalk, at a park. And no, I wouldn't say I'm very savage. I'm more like good job and yay, and I don't know. He does some great things on their fridge.
He enjoys working in physical media.
Yeah.
Right now, Play-Doh is kind of his form of artistic expression.
Fair
Although
enough. Yeah.
he sometimes will take like chunks of Play-Doh and then they'll disappear.
Yes, and then he'll come back like days later with them.
So yeah, so we don't really know where he's putting them, but yeah.
Oh dear.
Yes. But he brings them back to us.
Oh, I was about to say, I think Play-Doh is edible.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the reasons why it's like, marketed towards younger kids in particular.
Yes.
It's Kelly, the way that you phrased that, it made me giggle where you were like, well, he's drawing lines. It's just something about the way that you said that just made my brain go, the lines that are all over the place.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's barely 2. That's going to happen.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I'm just happy when I'm like trying to work and I do mean happy. He comes up and he wants to be on my lap and he wants to draw. Usually it's with the eraser side of the tablet, pen.
Mhm.
But that's okay. I just create a different page for him, let him work, and then he goes back and he goes plays with his trucks or something. And yeah, can you say truck? Yeah.
Oh, he's close.
Yeah, he loves trucks.
Nice. Is this the first story that you and CM worked together on?
Yes.
Well, we were collaborating with the
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
with the Foo Fighters one.
Oh,
hugely. But we didn't, that one didn't come out or didn't end up happening. But this is the first one we've worked on.
Yeah.
Like that worked on that got published, because you've been talking about the Foo Fighters one off and on. So what is the story behind that one?
Well, that was me telling CM, hey, there's an anthology my friends are putting together, and it's cryptids. So then we came up with a bunch of ideas of cryptids, and I like Foo Fighters because, again, I like the history angle of it, and I'm just so fascinated that in World War II, they saw things and they just can't explain it away, and that's where, of course, hey, Foo Fighters got their name. So, yeah, I was just fascinated. But then CM was able to flesh that out into an actual story, and it's nice being able to bounce ideas back and forth.
Very cool. Very cool. Speaking of anthologies, we were talking about having robots be the theme for the next one. Ooh. Do you think that there's going to be robot drummers in the next short story?
I'm sure we could drum something up.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that beat all?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too bass. Sorry. But yeah, we'll just snare in the readers.
Yeah, snare in the readers.
There'll be lots of symbols. Okay, I'll stop. See, it's getting pretty close.
It's too bad, because there was another live stream where there was somebody listening, and that was like puns were the bane of their existence, and they were just commenting in the live chat, just quit. It's too bad that they're not here right now.
Yeah. I can't help it. Yeah, that's funny, buddy. Here.
Mm-hmm.
He's eating peaches. He's very happy.
He's eating my smoothie peaches, and there's none left now, so I'm gonna go to the store.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing.
Angela just commented, how did we get 30 minutes in before a pun run?
She's distracted. She's distracted by our child.
Yeah, sorry, what was that?
Well, I was going to say immense of self-restraint, but distraction can also do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. If anybody has any other questions for CM and Kelly, feel free to shout them out in the comments. Again, we're trying to keep this episode a little on the shorter side, out of respect for the folks whom I am chatting with, CM and Kelly. If nobody else thinks of any other questions in the live chat, I wanted to say thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to sit down and chat with me about your short story.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you again for being such a great editor and to work with, and just everybody. We're looking forward to the next one, be it robots or whatever you come up with. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And Ben just gave us the update. The Kickstarter has gotten some new donations since we started streaming. Heck yes.
Good job.
Awesome.
Yeah. We hit our 2,500 goal. We are now reaching towards our next stretch goal, and we're at 2,738 already.
That's so exciting.
That is very exciting. Thank you all very much for contributing towards our Kickstarter. If you are listening and would like to contribute, head on over to tinyurl.com/gnome comics. There's also a link in the YouTube description if you would like to go and check that out. So where can we find y'all online if y'all have an online presence?
I'm working on that again. I'm working on that. Yeah.
I have a very,
Yes.
very meager Twitter that I'm using to promote when my book comes out, or when I start publishing my book. I'm to self-publish it.
Yes.
It's at Clemence Writes.
Gotcha. What's your book about, if you don't mind my asking?
It is complicated. It is a fantasy story set in a world where all the people are animals.
Ooh.
And it involves an oppressive system of, I guess, government and people fighting to try to overthrow that.
Very cool. So if that sounds interesting to y'all, be sure to check out his Twitter at Clemence Writes. That link is up on the screen here. Cool. So also very exciting that this gnome short story that you two worked on is coming into print. That's awesome.
We're very excited about it. Yes.
Heck yeah. All right. So I think we're going to wrap that up there. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. Thank you, Ben, Angela, and Rainer for hanging out in the live chat with us. And everybody else who hung out who did not leave any comments. We hear you, we see you, and we appreciate you. And if you would like to support What the Gnomes Know, a comics anthology, and the garden variety adventure that these two worked on together, head on over to tinyurl.com/gnomecomics. That's going to be it from us for now. We also have other live streams happening, talking with other creatives for this anthology project. More info about that is going to be at tinyurl.com/gnomecomics. There's a schedule and everything. That's going to be it from us for now. Thank you so much for listening. You are awesome.